I just got told we can go over a little bit. Not officially, though. Don't narc on us, please. Yeah. But if you leave a 5-star review, they'll give us more time next year. Anyway, so hi, everybody, and welcome to the business of content creation. I love this audience. They're fantastic.
I feel terrible because they're going to hate me at the end.
Yeah, you guys really are.
They're so happy.
So welcome to the panel, everybody. If you are not here for the business of content creation, don't leave because we like having you here, and it looks really good to us. You all are wonderful. You are fantastic. How are you enjoying your Saturday of MAGFest so far? I just want you to clap again. I'm sorry. It's really fulfilling for me. We are content creators, or rather, well, I am a part-time content creator. He is a full-time content creator, and he just retired.
Dude, I so escaped.
Yeah. And so we're going to tell you all about the business of content creation. I also happen to be a lawyer, so I have to say this at the top of the thing before we get into introductions. I'm a lawyer. I am not yet your lawyer. Unless you specifically have already hired me, you know who you are. Anything I say up here is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute legal advice. Your circumstances will almost certainly be different. However, I do recommend you do consult an attorney in the event that you need an attorney for whatever endeavor you go to. But this does not create an attorney-client relationship or a privileged relationship whatsoever. What I'm trying to say is take this legal information and don't try it at home. Go to a friend's house. See, that always gets them. So without further ado, we're going to dive in, and we'll save some time for questions at the end if you have them. So make sure you write them down so you don't forget your questions. If you forget your question, that's on you, friend. I can't read your mind yet. So I'll dive in real quick and just to give these guys a little bit of breathing room. My name's Noah Downs. I go on the internet as MyLawyerFriend. I am also a Twitch partner in name only, and because I know people at Twitch. And I've been creating content as the GM and producer of the Forgotten Pats podcast for the last 4 years. For 4 years, yeah. I run charity streams as well, but I represent over 1,000 content creators on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, etc., ranging in size from people who just started and haven't hit affiliate yet on Twitch all the way up to some of the largest creators on the planet. So it's a lot of fun. That's me. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Captain Robear, and I spent 2 decades in the bar business where I thought I would never leave until lockdown. And like a lot of folks, I hopped on the internet and got an online job. Now I get to play tabletop 3 to 4, sometimes 5 times a week, and enjoy myself as a full-time creator.
Fantastic. You got to clap. Good for you.
I'm going to take a moment to already kind of drive my point home. This empty space here is supposed to be HCJustin. He would have been the most successful of all the content creators on the panel, but he could not justify the 1 day away from his desk as an expense to neglect his stream for 1 day to come up, and unfortunately had to bow out.
Yep.
So we'll get to talk about grind in a little bit. My name is Ryan McLaffyTaffy Caps. I often call myself one of the most successful streamers you've never heard of. I streamed full-time as a Twitch partner for 10 years. I've been partnered for 11 years. My first YouTube video went up in 2011. I've done some wild shit on Twitch. But
Yeah.
We broke hype trains when they came out. Twitch had to officially put out a ticket to figure out how we did that. At one point, one of my audience members obtained through back channels a list of every wrench, every employee from Twitch, and then gifted them all a $5 sub. So at one point, all 1,300 Twitch employees were subbed to my channel. The meme economy was strong in my channel.
It was.
But as of about 2 weeks ago, the content creator economy is bad. It's a bad time to try to be getting in because nobody feels like they have disposable income. My revenue was down 30% year over year for the last 2 years. So I two-ish weeks ago just soft retired. I still plan on going back when I have free time or to do body doubling streams where I've set up a background of like an office space with like background office white noise where my audience can't see my stream, but they can watch me work like a freak in the spreadsheets, and we can just hang out and shoot the shit together. So anyway, That's me. I'm the ghost of Christmas future. I hope you'll like me at the end, but I'm here with tough love.
I will tell you that Ryan always refers to this panel every year, because we've done this panel at MAGFest every year since 2018. He's referred to this panel as his dream killer panel. And we're going to have fun today, guys.
Don't let an old man bring you down.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah, let an old man bring you up.
Here's my caveat: is that if me saying that to you is enough to put you off of it, you shouldn't start.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. If you're sitting out there saying, Taffy, there's nothing you can do to just make me not do content creation, that's the spirit.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to kind of have this be like a free-form discussion kind of panel. And then at the end, like I said, we're going to have room for about 15 minutes of questions. But we're going to talk about everything from growing an audience to getting partnerships to managing burnout and how to treat your content like a business. I'm going to chime in with legal insights where appropriate. But in general, I'm going to let these two talk and chime in where I've seen things from other people. So let's go ahead and kind of dive in a little bit. Where did you guys get your start?
Well, there was a little site called Mixer.
Who remembers Mixer?
Existed at one point.
Man, I liked Mixer.
Yeah. So when I first got started, there was a little game that came out called Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is a collaborative social game. And when you don't have a pot to piss in, you could have maybe one or two with 3 or 4 extra people. Yeah. So what we did is we combined resources. It was something that was easy, on brand, and I already wore this thing in my personal life since a bachelor party many, many, many years ago in New Orleans. So it was already a good fit in the first place. We went in on that collaborative piece of content to make what is called the first pile. I did not get to start playing D&D for a living instantly. I had to work to make that first audience that could allow me to go into other directories. And I also certainly wasn't taking that into Twitch's directory. So I went to a site where I could hack attention early. Mm-hmm. Now, it was something I wanted to do, but you need to look at a long list of things that are sometimes acceptable. Mm-hmm. And that one for me was the hot new thing and the target to look for before I could be picky with my piece of content. So I started with Sea of Thieves. I came from Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 community. If you guys know a little convention called GCX, I was there at a bar 10 years ago in Florida with King Italian, Professor Blowman.
I'm going to tell Ben you said that.
Yeah, that'll get me. And
and Darkness.
Yeah. Oh,
Timmy.
No, Tim wasn't even there
That's
yet.
right, Timmy wasn't there
This was
yet.
a long time ago.
Yep.
So I met my emote artist, Con Art, in the parking lot. Power GPU, if you know the PC company, he was still working at Best Buy. Wild times, but a lot of people came out of a community meetup a long, long time ago. And I can't stress that enough. That may be your first great start. Yeah. Is what communities am I involved with inside of the gaming space? Because it was Broman that told me, it was like, you need to look at the attention on Mixer. And there were several people that did that, and I'm very thankful for that opportunity because it gave me a bigger jump start to eventually get to what I wanted to do.
Yeah. I'm 45 now. Yeah, there you go. I'm representing a very specific dynamic in content creation. All of us who get mistaken for like Uber drivers who've wandered into the event, like very clearly here to pick up some 22-year-old with purple hair. I just look like someone's dad. When I started, the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis had just happened, and I was trying to be an actor in Philadelphia. Suddenly I was waiting tables next to guys who were making $250,000 a year the year before that had fallen out of real estate and were just happy to be employed someplace where they could wait tables. But I was always nervous I was going to come into the restaurant and find them swinging from a rafter one day.
Oh, Jesus.
It was a real dark time, dude. And so I was waiting tables, and I went to a buddy's house to play, like a friend of mine that was like 10 years younger than me. I was 31, he was like 22, and he's like, hey man, do you want to play video games? And I was like, yeah, I haven't played video games in a really long time. I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I was the 1992 Blockbuster store champion for the SNES. I deserved that. I was very good at Clay Fighter. So I said that, and then I instantly got dumpstered on Modern Warfare 2 online. Like, I was getting teabagged. I was getting blasted from across the map, and I went home, like, to my apartment pissed. So I went on YouTube, and I was looking for tips and tricks, and I stumbled across, like, the origins of machinima.
Who remembers machinima out there? All right, cool, good.
I stumbled across, like, Hutch and Nanners. And so I started, I found a buddy of mine who was like a 19-year-old gamer from Canada that he and I were playing together every night, and we started talking about how we were watching the same content. And this is before there was any money, so everybody was out there for the love of the game. We heard rumblings about like, oh, did you hear so-and-so made enough money to buy a new computer? And we're like, bullshit, there's no money in YouTube. So like we were like coming up with ideas of like, okay, well, we watch the same content, but we also agree we feel like it's dipping in quality. And I mean, this was in 2010. So my thing was like, we got to put up or shut up. If we're going to sit here and bitch about the content not being good, what do we think should be out there? And so there was a lot of like dick wagging, E-peen, I got 150 kills to 0 deaths in COD, and it's mostly me running around with my viewers who are running support kill streaks so that I can look badass. And we're like, well, what's the opposite of that? So we started a show called Passive Aggression on Machinima Respawn. So every Monday we would release an episode. We got accepted by Machinima. We did some creative stuff, and then we started this show where we would win games of domination on Call of Duty without killing anybody, and then we would cut it up into a music video, like a hip hop music video with like subtitles and stuff. And then we had another like this is I'll take ownership of this. This is my great idea. We became like the SNL of Machinima. So every week we had a guest player, and so we had Nanners. We had Hutch, we had Sark, we had Xbox Ahoy. I don't know if y'all remember Xbox Ahoy.
Daithi Denogla.
Yeah, we had Daithi Denogla before he was somebody. He was actually somebody in our crew, and we put his first videos on our channel to boost the exposure, and now he can buy and sell my house out from underneath me. So so we did that, and that caught on, and that got us into our community. Preston Plays, Lachlan, Bayesian Canadian, Jerome ASF, all these guys, Vicstar, and we all were just continuing to make content. There was really no money to be had, and then money started to show up, and then I turned to Woofles, my co-creator, and said, hey man, I think Minecraft has legs. And he was like, oh, like the pixel game? He was like, you sure? Like there's another COD coming. And I was like, no, I think Minecraft's onto something. So everybody made the switch to Minecraft, and now, you know, Preston has more money than God, and Lachlan only flies first class on Emirates, and everybody's Instagram looks like a travel vlog. So
You're here.
I had to split from all that because it was all Minecraft stuff, and it was all kids half my age, so I was like the adult in the room for most of the stuff, and almost working like a manager for these guys for about a half a year. But I just wasn't feeling it. Like, it just wasn't a fit for me. What people did like watching me play was The Binding of Isaac. And so I also didn't like editing videos, and I was getting into Northern Lion stuff and getting into Cobalt Streak stuff, and so I went over to Twitch and my first stream was to 500 concurrents. And I went live on Twitch, and there was no money there. For the longest time, if you said that you were, like, when money showed up, if you said you were on Twitch, it was like saying that you were a janitor at Disney World when they wanted to meet Mickey Mouse. So they wanted to meet Minecraft YouTubers, but then I'd say like, oh, like I'd see Dan's Gaming, the guy who's like the face of a lot of Twitch, and he'd say like, oh, I'm a full-time Twitch partner, and I'd watch people like retract their hand from shaking it and move down the line. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. So anyway, it's been very much for the love of the game, and then I hit a spurt on the tail end of my career where for like 5 years I made an amount of money that felt criminal. And then it tailed off, and it tailed off hard enough that I had to stop. So it's been a wild ride.
Yeah, I mean, each of you has built like a really incredible community. In fact, we have some of those community members here. You don't have to raise your hand, but you can, know that we appreciate you. And so building that community is something that I think that this audience is going to, well, first of all, how many of you are already content creators? Fantastic. How many of you are on Twitch? How many of you are on YouTube? How many of you are on both? Fantastic.
Yeah, good answer.
How many TikTok creators do we have? Or short form reels, that kind of stuff. Fantastic. How many of you don't know where to start in your content creation journey, and that's part of the reason why you're here? Okay, great. Everything you just heard was a different world. However, these guys are going to, and me a little bit too, are going to help make you understand like where we're at currently and where we're going to go. How many of you that stream on Twitch have hit 500 concurrents at any point? See, and you started there.
Oh, it was only down from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. And so building that kind of community, how did you end up building a community that lasted? Like, either one of you.
I think Robear should take this one.
Well, I mean, what you're doing, first of all, is you are community building. If you want to be in a long-term position, and I'll be the first one to say it, we have a huge liability problem, and it's called Discord.
Yeah.
Because if Discord locked me out today, I'd be in a bad spot.
Yeah.
I'd be in a real bad spot because that is my first point of contact with my most active community members. And that's going to continue to be a management process for you of how do I reach my viewers? And it's going to take a different strategy on all of these platforms and understanding what these platforms are designed for and what that viewer on that platform wants from you.
Yeah, and on that note, one of the things, obviously, how many of you had heard of Mixer, just real quick? All right, for those of you that hadn't heard of Mixer, Robear was streaming full-time on Mixer and then went to Twitch from that, and Discord was a key part of that community transfer for you, right?
Oh, yeah. Because it was the one connector between the two. We had a bridge.
Yeah.
And asking someone to go to a different site than what they use, you can imagine.
Yeah.
It has a absolute percentage drop off that is absolutely calculable.
Yeah. And on that note, if you have a community building tool like Discord, and to be clear, Discord has its faults. However, it is one of the best tools that you can use to build out your Discord. And you're going to, when you start off your community building, when you build your community, you're going to say, oh God, I have 10 people in this Discord. It looks weird if people join this and it's just me and 9 of my best friends, so to speak. As you're building out your Discord, just engage your community there. Because Discord is one of those few places that won't easily be taken away from you, assuming you use two-factor authentication, which you always should. And not like through a text message, by the way, guys. Use Authy or something like that. So, but how many of you, if your Instagram went down today or you lost access to it or got reported, would know how to get it back? 1, 2, 3, maybe less than 10 of you. I'm a lawyer that works with Meta's trust and safety team regularly. If your Instagram goes down, I can't get it back. And that's part of my job, is to talk to people for that. So if you're building on these platforms, you get banned on Twitch because, I don't know, well, if you got banned on Twitch, you probably shouldn't be doing stuff. I'm kidding. But if you get banned from Instagram, if you get banned from Facebook, or wherever you're building your content, you've got to have that fallback. You need to build on other platforms. If TikTok had gone off the internet permanently when it was threatened to, obviously it turned into something horrible, so we won't go there. If TikTok had gone off the internet, all those creators would have lost their homes. And they were scrambling to say, follow me, this is my link tree, my link in bio, that kind of thing.
Who here uses CapCut? Okay. Even if you didn't use TikTok, you were about to lose your editing platform.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Sure did. That was good. All your presets and your brand identity would have been absolutely gone. So you need to make sure that you're building things offline, and you need to own your means of production. Wow, I sound like we need to take the labor back. Yeah! Cool.
Now feels like a really good time to tell everybody that about 7 years ago we did this panel and Luigi Mangione was our timekeeper.
Yeah!
Had I known it then.
Yeah, and that's all we can say about that legally because this is being recorded. But Taffy, in terms of building your community through Discord and off Discord, and also at a very particular time in your life, can you talk about that?
Oh, geez.
Content warning, by the way, for this. We are going to talk a little bit about cancer and illness.
Yeah. Okay, so during the time that we were making YouTube videos, again, for the love of the game, my younger compadre was much more about, like, flash and sizzle, which we needed. You gotta have a hook. But I was dialed into, like, I was the one in the comments answering viewer comments, and I was the one answering viewer emails and managing that. And so, like, within our group, hashtag Taffy Cares kind of became a thing. And then he and I went through, and I'm not the lawyer, but I will say contracts save friendships. We went through a very litigious point where the guy that I founded the company with, I quit graduate school to come back full time. I was a semester and a half away from getting my degree. But the channel took off. We went from having 30,000 YouTube subs, which was impressive at the time, to all of a sudden he was playing Minecraft. That whole team was sort of rising on the same tide. And the next thing I knew is over the course of a month, we'd shot up to 135,000 subs. And then it was 250,000 subs. And I was like, well, shit, I've got a decision to make. So I was at an advertising grad school trying to figure out how to make canned vegetables sexy for my next project. And I was watching Northern Lion on Twitch, and I went, screw this, man, I'm done. And I went back and told him that, and he said, I'm so happy that you decided that. I was never going to tell you that. Now we've got to discuss what our new relationship is, because everything's in my name. And he was like, now that you've got nowhere to go, and I've got you backed into a corner, we got to renegotiate our terms, because we're not going to do 50-50 anymore. Mm-hmm. So we split, and
this is before I was a lawyer, by the way. Otherwise, I would have killed him.
We split, and I was like, screw this, man. I don't want to do video editing. I went to Twitch, and all the people who were like, well, damn, Taffy was the one out of the two who was nice to me. I'm going to go see what he's up to. Plus, The Binding of Isaac's a funky little game. So, so that's how I brought my community with me onto Twitch. And then from there, I went through a wild series of twists and turns where I still brought this like sort of like COD mentality to it. So I was that ragey guy that was like, if my audience could make me mad enough to make me like throw a mouse, that was considered a successful day. And that was exhausting. So I saw a content creator named Larsfest, and he's like a California shaman. And he's playing the same game that I'm playing, but it's very kumbaya, and his day looks so much easier than mine. And I came back, and I was just like, I had driven my viewership down to like 35 concurrents every time I was going live. I was killing my channel, making bad decisions. And yeah, I came back, and I was like, hey, we're going to be cooler. Like, we're going to be chill, and we're going to be considerate, and we're going to be accepting, and we're going to be kind. And I lost viewers, and I lost mods over it. I had a mod that told me he didn't want the channel to grow because he liked it the size that it was. And I was like, well, you would better get a fucking pay raise because I gotta try to figure out how to make this a gig. So I drove away a few more of my remaining viewers, but then over the course of years, I had a huge influx of people who were different than me that really liked the space that I'd built. And so the next thing I know is my moderator crew is filled with trans folks and fucking hardcore feminists and like people who are like different walks of life than me. And we've all formed like a little team, a little committee. People half my age that are just like, Taffy's like the cool uncle that I think would bail me out, no questions asked. And the vibe just got better. Like I was so flattered. I had people who would come to me to like come out. And I was just, I had never expected that. Like, I just was like, I just don't want people to feel threatened here. And from that, it grew into a community, and I learned so much, and I changed personally, like they changed me. And so I just kind of organically rode the flow of like what feels right. And it became a very different place where all of a sudden we went from, can we get Taffy to tip his table over, to like, oh man, did you hear so-and-so forgot their wallet and they're stuck at work without food? Let's get their work address and DoorDash them a sandwich.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of that going on. We have what we call bullying, but bullying in ours is you find one of the other viewers' throne wish lists, and you just buy a bunch of shit off of it and make them cry.
Yeah.
So that's what it turned into. And sorry, I'm so long-winded about this.
No, you're fine, dude. This is a panel.
Not you.
I know, right?
You?
It's a thought.
Talking?
It's like I could talk for 7 hours straight without stopping.
And haven't done it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's like I'm getting all this out like a geyser right now. The real kicker, the thing that like brought me to tears was at the time that I was trying to figure out what the channel was. I was playing Fallout New Vegas, and we had to go to the doctor's office because my wife found a lump. But she was breastfeeding. We just assumed it was a clogged duct. Really weren't stressed out about it. We did go to the doctor. They did say, we'll watch your kids while we give you the news. And I was like, oh, that feels ominous. And they did tell us it was breast cancer, and I just sort of assumed my content creation, you could call it a career. My attempt at a content creation career was over. I wrote a page-long Facebook notice just saying like, hey guys, love you all, but obviously my priorities have shifted. We spent the next year fighting it. She beat it. Thank you. She deserves all that. She was a trooper. We would go to chemo, and I would pack a picnic lunch, and we would watch Netflix and like eat chocolate and sandwiches. We were the only people having a good time in chemotherapy.
Yeah.
It was the only time we could get away from our kids. So we were like, we're going to use this time wisely. And so she beat it, and I was kind of spinning out, trying to figure out what my life was going to be because, I didn't have anything going on. And she and my blossoming business partner, Nate, put their hands in my back and just said, you got to go back to it. Like, we really feel like you were onto something. And considering the fact that both of our futures are tied to whether or not you succeed, you should take this as a compliment that we want you to start again. And when I came back, the Discord community that I hadn't visited because it was like too painful to go back in there and see it and be around it, the Discord community had grown in my absence, and I still had nearly 100 active subs because it was the only way they knew how to help. And so the last stream, which is not the last stream, but it's the last scheduled stream, which is a couple weeks ago, was a real bittersweet pill. It was a real, tearjerker of a 16-hour. I was just like, I'll stay live as long as my brain's not pudding to give you guys the longest last stream I can. And we did all the stuff that we kind of had said we'd be doing. But it was the kind of community that I built that's like, raised $250,000 for St. Jude and did a whole bunch of Twitch firsts, and we were always just kind of looking to do cool shit for the sake of doing cool shit.
It's one of those things where when you build the right community and you take you take your community seriously, and you're not just happy to have someone there, you're happy to have the right people there. You're going to build the right community, and doing that via Discord so that you can change platforms, to being able to have tough discussions with your moderators and say, if you're not on board with us becoming a more inclusive community, then this is not the place for you. That is what's being able to do those things is what's going to make or break your content creation career. It is incredibly difficult to tell someone that has been there from the beginning that this place is changing for the better. But at the end of the day, it's your career. It's not theirs. And you have to do what is best for you. Because at the end of the day, you've got to show up and create in that space. And if it's toxic for you or it's toxic for other people, then you're not going to grow. I feel like MAGFest is honestly one of the best places to send that message because this community is so fantastic. This is the only con I have fun at anymore. And so it's one of those things where you got to be willing to prune and prune wisely, not prune for the sake of pruning. And also be willing to take critical feedback. That's one of the number one things that as a lawyer, I advise my clients to do. Like, I'm a mod in both of these guys' channels because it's fun for me. But also because it gets me access to their mod Discord channels and also some of the back-end stuff. One, for legal reasons, but also because it allows me to kind of chime in and say, hey, this is a legal reason why you need to take care of this, or you should listen to this person because their perspective is incredibly unique and valuable here. And the more voices you have, it might sound like there's a ton of noise, but the more you listen to your community, the better it's going to grow. That is the water that you have to grow that beautiful plant is your attention and your time. You need to make sure you give it to them. So,
I think we also need to make a note about any of the advice that you hear during this panel.
oh yeah,
Comes from tiny little silos
yeah,
in a much larger creation world. How you choose to create content and what you create with is going to vary wildly in what advice and what you may need to hear
Yeah.
and build with. As a tabletop creator, my life is so much different
Yeah.
than all of my other peers. It really is it will become a lifetime of learning. Even when I take sponsorships for stuff that is adjacent to what we do in tabletop. A lot of times I'm looking to do work with a JRPG or an RPG, something that's turn-based, something that is D&D adjacent.
narrative.
Yeah, or, thank the gods, Larian comes out with a game called Baldur's Gate 3. Woo! And they gamify my favorite hobby, and we blow up and get to have a moment.
Yep.
All that is going to be very, very different, and all of it is going to constantly change.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, you served up on a tea for me, so thank you. Now that you've built your community, you have a stream, you have something going, whether you're affiliate, just starting, partner, wherever you're at. Let's talk about getting partnerships, building partnerships, not just sponsorships, but partnerships with brands, companies, your tools, etc. So, what kind of partnerships have you guys had, whether it's a Discord partner, RIP, or if it's like sponsorships or anything like that? Talk about building out that aspect of your career.
So I came from the bar business. The absolute first thing I went, is there anybody in the space that I have been dealing business with over the last 2 decades? And I happened to meet a very good friend of mine now, Patrick at Voodoo Ranger.
Woo! We love Patrick.
We love Patrick.
He gives me lots of beer.
We're both sponsored by Voodoo Ranger, by the way.
I was very fortunate. Partnerships come about because there is a key interest person at that company that believes in you before they even know you. You have to find these key people because cold calling is going to get you nowhere. I targeted them, knew they were wanting to get into the business, and I showed up at PAX East at one of their first meetups, and we just began the relationship of talking about life and what we were doing in the world of content creation now that we're post-lockdown, and how are we doing beer shares and just normal stuff. So it came of an interest, and you start talking about how you can provide value. Let me stress this. You need to be thinking about, how do I provide value to my audience or any other company? Before you ask anything, what can I do for you? And if you can live with that mantra, you're going to find those partnerships that matter and are long term. Please, for the love of all the gods, seek out partnerships that matter to you, not what fills the void. Everybody's got the same 3 or 4. How are you going to differentiate yourself from that? And is it a real partnership? No, it's probably not. It's probably an affiliate code. And those things just aren't scalable.
Speaking of, you can use code LAW at naturalpine.com to get yourself some flavored toothpicks. Hashtag ad. And Taffy, how did you approach it?
So I want to echo what Robear said, which is this feels gross, but it is the truth. You are a salesperson. I've seen a lot of great YouTubers who do an excellent job of custom tailoring their ad reads to their content, and I genuinely believe them when they tell me that their mattress is the best mattress, or that they
So many mattresses.
or that they truly appreciate their VPN.
Well, some of them probably do.
So I did two approaches. One was, like Robear said, I started off by trying to find. I sat with my chat and we brainstormed and daydreamed what our ideal sponsors would be. And from that list, I had kind of a vibe of like what would fly and what wouldn't. And one of them was a coffee company called Madrinas. And so I went to my first TwitchCon and learned that Madrinas was there. And I grabbed Noah, who was also kind of green in the space, but we were trying to get him in to be like a video game lawyer. Mm-hmm. And I grabbed him and said, hey, as basically your only content creation client, I demand these guys as my sponsor. Let's go get them. And so I grabbed him by like the scruff and dragged him and pulled him in front like a ventriloquist puppet.
Yeah.
I put him in front of Shlomo and was just like, hey, this guy's going to tell you why I should sell your coffee.
And I did.
And he was trying to sell me as a channel. And like, you got to surround yourself with good people, like people you like who will also work with you, because like he was trying to sell my channel and they were sponsoring Dan's Gaming and Cobalt Streak and Co-Carnage. Like they really didn't need me. But then he starts talking law stuff with Shlomo, and Shlomo was like, oh, man, I actually need a little bit of help with that. And I was like, hey, well, if you sign me as a sponsor, he'll give you free legal work. And he's like, I will? And I was like, you are. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And so I as of today, I'm still with Madrinas like 8 years later.
Yeah.
If you want to go for a very short time, it's still on the website. If you want to go to madrinas.com, you can get Taffine. Their only light roast, and it is a delicious whole bean. That they literally worked with me to design how it tasted. Yep. They sent me prototypes, and I said, nope, not fruity enough. And they sent it back, and I was like, now the dark roast notes are gone. And so they went through 3 iterations to get it where we wanted it to be. From there, though, I have to throw out a caveat. I found benefit from tempering my audience's expectations, where I was just like, we're not always going to land the dream sponsor. Right. I promise not to screw you and bring you something awful. I turned down $163,000 for 1 month's work from a crypto and NFTs. They offered me.
To be clear, it was one of those things where they came to me and they said, "Hey, we want to give Taffy like almost $200,000." I was like, "He's not going to say yes to this, and I'm not going to tell him to." But
there is a number that I will not say publicly in any room.
Yeah.
Of which I was offered for training data, because a retirable number.
Yeah.
Instantly, overnight, because what would they love more than 4 to 5 people talking to each other for 5 hours?
Yeah. Yep. You told me about that one.
Now, do I technically have the rights to do so?
Yeah.
Yep.
I do.
Yeah.
Will I ever be able to sleep with myself based off of who has guested?
Yep.
Or who has appeared without any kind of legal release for this? There are going to be offers that come up are of the dark arts.
Yeah.
And you have to sometimes swallow that hard pill and go, wow, I didn't think I would ever be tempted, by the force in this way. Mm-hmm. But you will. And inevitably, businesses will find ways to try to use you in any manner possible because they need you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they want your audience.
Yep.
And I stress that you need to view yourself as a member in that community when that gambling sponsorship rolls through, anything where you need to go, where's the money?
Yeah.
And be real honest where you ethically lie with it, and you need to be comfortable with that decision.
And on that note, as you're building that out, this is where I put the lawyer hat on instead of just like the manager hat, content creator hat, is if you are being approached with money, you're finally starting to make it, even if you're doing your first Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship, you need to know where
Listen, that shit built a fence in my backyard, so you leave me alone.
It does. It did. I brought Taffy 3 Raid sponsorships in a row, and it bought a fence. And it has a little plaque on it.
I have a plaque on it that says, "This fence sponsored in part by Raid Shadow Legends."
Yeah. It's amazing. We actually sent that to them, and they passed around the internal Slack and loved it. So, but that is all to say that as you're doing all of this, you need to make sure a couple of things. One, if you do get that Godfather offer, for AI training or something, and you do content with other people, And let's say that that's an acceptable thing to you. I'm not going to reach into your pocket and talk about what your values are. But if that's acceptable to you, then you need to make sure that you have contracts with all those people that appeared on your channel, because you're going to sell their name, image, and likeness. So you need to have an appearance release. In fact, you should have that anyway, so they can't DMCA your channel down the line. And so contracts save friendships. Taffy said it earlier. I want all of you to repeat after me. Contracts save friendships. If you take nothing else away from this panel, remember that. And so you're going to want to make sure at a certain point you're setting up an LLC so that your contracts can be with your LLC, so that you can have a separate bank account for all these millions of dollars you're hopefully going to be making. If you do, I'm available for hire. And so that's your quick business side to this, is LLC, NDA, contractor agreements, even for your emote artists. But that is all to say, you're going to need that. Otherwise, people will take you down, and your brand sponsorships won't show up because you don't own what you make. Let's dial back real quick. Content creation, the business of playing video games or covering songs or reviewing books or whatever you're doing in your content creation journey, is inherently illegal, because all you're doing is engaging in copyright infringement. Mm-hmm. You don't have a right to do any of this unless the TOS for the game specifically says, yes, you can use this, we give you a license to use this on the game, and that's revocable. I mean, they can revoke the license. That actually happened famously with PewDiePie, whatever you feel about that person. With the Firewatch videos, he had a couple of Let's Plays of Firewatch, and he dropped the N-bomb on one of his videos, and that's not good. That's real bad. And so the Firewatch team said, well, we don't want this person representing our brand. We're going to revoke his implied license to play our game and DMCA his content. And his channel went down like Glass Joe. Like, it was crazy. It was insane. And so and they had an absolute right to do that. We had another famous content creator who I can't name who didn't have a contract with any other emote artists. And they pissed one of them off. So that emote artist DMCA'd their channel, went down in a heartbeat.
I almost went, oh, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, right. You didn't say it for a reason.
Is anybody here a Nintendo content creator?
Yeah, Nintendo doesn't like it when you play mods. If you're planning on building a modded Nintendo channel, fucking don't. But also, more importantly, if you enjoy Tetris, just don't. Don't do that on stream. Tetris will see you in a heartbeat, and they'll claim all of your videos on YouTube. So, like, Tetris is more litigious than Disney. Yeah, because they do one thing, and it's Tetris. So that is all to say that when you're building out, you're working with brand partnerships and sponsorships, also make sure that you have your house in order. Otherwise, they won't work with you. Now, I will say, just a little feather in the cap, if you tell the people you're working with, if you have an agent or a manager, which are two separate things, by the way, I'll go into that in a second, what your dream list for sponsorships are, one day, they might be in the right room to land the right one. And on day one of working with Taffy, back in 2015, 2016, whatever it was, this guy's known me since I was 14. So, but working with him officially, he said, man, I would really love Panda Express as a sponsor. And you tell him how that went.
Oh, I want to point out that I went to a Michelin-star dumpling restaurant wearing a Panda Express t-shirt because I wanted them to know where my loyalties lie.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, this feels like cheating, so I want you to know I'm married to Panda Express. We'll have our fun. I'll eat your soup dumplings, but I won't enjoy them. Yeah, so Panda Express was, when we did that list, we were talking about, like, what are the brands that we would love to work with the most.
MeUndies.
I got made fun of for taking MeUndies.
Yeah, I know.
I took MeUndies, and a lot of my gamer friends were like, what does wearing underwear have to do with video games? I'm like, you're doing it, aren't you? And then I flash forward.
Some questions you don't want answered.
And then, like 16 months later, all those hypocritical shits were taking MeUndies sponsorships.
I'm still wearing MeUndies.
I'm wearing them right now.
Yeah.
So we had made this list. Panda was at the top, and I told Noah, I was like, if this could ever happen, it would be awesome. a different agency, talent agency, had an offer come through. It was an all-female talent agency, so I was off the board. And Noah went to the guy that was running the campaign through them and said, "Hey, man, we're friends. I got a guy who loves Panda. Can you just kind of add him as a +1 to this? I promise he'll deliver." And like seven of the women who were creating did theirs, and they did a fine job. They ate the food. They met all the talking points and did all the criteria. I teased it like fucking Avengers Doomsday. Like
You did.
I was leaking cryptic shit to my chat for like a week, where I was just like, "Oh, you'll want to be here Monday. Shit's going down." And then I had rigged my office basically so that when I finally displayed it, I lit sparklers, I shot off little confetti cannons, I had like rock music playing in the background and strobe light effects happening. They shipped me they gave me enough money to order like a suitcase of Panda Express. And I was just one of the kids at the chocolate factory where I was just like, "Oh, the Oompa Loompas are gonna sing a song about me. Nom, 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 nom. I'm eating all this by myself. My wife and kids can have sandwiches. This is mine. I earned this." So like it was less a sponsorship than it was a party. And Panda Corporate, because they booked it through a media agency, through like an advertising firm. Panda Corporate reviewed the tapes, and of the 8 people who did the activation, they sent one person a follow-up care package to say, "Thank you, that was well done." And that was me. So I got gift cards, I got sunglasses, I got a coffee mug I still use, I got a T-shirt. Like it was a big ass care package.
Yeah.
But that was like, there are sponsorships that you can take, and my audience, there was always an implied wink for some of them where I'm like, "Hey everybody, NordVPN, wink." Like
That was more than 2 years ago, so you can say that live because this is being recorded. So.
I was like, let me get this bag, wink, you know, like is in those like kind of gray areas where it's like, all right, man, yeah, just Raid Shadow Legends again. That sounds awesome.
Monopoly Go.
Monopoly Go had his talons in me. Good grief. But anyway, all that to say, there will be, if this goes well for you, there will be moments where you like land the big fish.
Yeah.
Whether that's a guest spot, whether that's a collaboration or a brand or whatever. And it's important that, like, you know, like if your dream is to get Captain Robear on your stream and then one day he does, make him feel like you're excited. Like nobody owes you dick. And so like when somebody acquiesces to help make your content better, whether it's a brand or a collaborator or whatever, or an emote artist or celebrate that loudly in front of people.
And these sponsorships, they have seasons.
Yeah.
And there are feast and famine. So, you know, everything we've said up here, you're going to have to be monitoring your budget with what your direct support is before any of this.
Yeah.
It's, for a lot of us, sponsorships are the icing on the cake. They are like the Christmas bonus out of the year. You cannot rely on them. The minute you do rely on them, you will be out of business.
Now, let's talk about when you do need to rely on them, such as when you're creating a podcast. Hi, my name's Noah Downs. I'm the DM and producer of the Forgotten Pats podcast, and it's really expensive to produce a good podcast. How many of you out here are podcasters? I know at least one of you. So when you're trying to create a podcast or take your content over and bring it to a podcast, one of the things that you really need to do is identify, with any content, frankly, identify where your dream sponsorship is, tell your community, and then get them out there to maybe, you know, pound the pavement, talk to those brands for you, get something in there. If you don't have an agent, then it's going to be difficult sometimes to bring these sponsorships in.
I got a sponsorship in one day because I found a product that somebody sent me through Throne called Sogo Meat Sticks.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, damn, these are delicious. It's from a mom and pop in Decorah, Iowa. Dan sent me a Christmas card this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
he and the family are doing well. They're great. And, like, it was at a pretty heated time, so I was like, damn, we got to, like, okay, I'll tell this story real quick.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, these are good. Let's flood their website. Like, everybody buy what you can afford to buy and just leave a comment saying that you came from twitch.tv/McLaffyTaffy. And within about 45 minutes, I see Sogo Dan pop up in chat, and he's like, what in the hell is Twitch? And I was just like, hey, man, I play video games and make dick jokes for 7 hours a day. I want you to sponsor me, and I'll help you sell product. Everybody loves your meat sticks. And I said, wait, I was like, hold on. We got to jump off this bridge real quick. Dan, I live on the East Coast. I'm a raging liberal. I consider myself alt-left.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of the heartland, so let's jump off this bridge first. Like, are we gonna clash over this? You're right in the middle. And he goes, hey man, I live in Decorah, Iowa, but for the last couple of years in June, our pride flag's been getting stolen, so I just keep buying a bigger one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So go meat sticks, everybody. Dan's amazing. But that was one of those instances where we just went and manifested our own reality, where I was just like, let's give them a taste. Like, everybody go buy meat sticks and just put this in the comment section.
You can't put every ounce of yourself into every sponsorship. Raid Shadow Legends doesn't give a shit if you do. They're not going to look at your content. They're just going to look at how many clicks you got.
Yeah.
But for the ones that are perfect, like, for example, we got sponsored by Hero Forge. Shout out to Hero Forge on the Forgotten Path podcast. We put our heart and soul into it. And they keep coming back for more. A shout out, they are fantastic.
Yeah, Hero
so
great.
We were able to get minis for the entire cast, get their new dice for the entire cast. We got Anjali Bhamani coming on and doing some spots for them. It was phenomenal. And so when you find that good partner, it's not about the check. It's about the relationship, and you need to make sure that you remember that for your career. So we are almost at time, but I'm going over because I don't give a fuck. If you have somewhere to go, I'm not going to be butthurt if you have to leave, but we are going to take questions. While you are thinking of your questions and making your way up to this mic, they are going to hold the microphone for you. And the reason for that is that in a few other panels, somebody asked something really bad. Not here, but like, and we want to make sure we hold on to the mic in case one of you wants to ask something salty. So as you're lining up, remember, we don't necessarily need context for your question. We just need the question. So feel free to come on up, and then, everybody, let's do it. Awesome. We got an Umbreon. All right. First question.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hi.
Thank you so much for this panel. My biggest question is in regards to the Discord community. So how do you establish community without sort of like the parasocial relationship, right?
Great question.
And maintaining the Discord community in the midst of like daily life, because sometimes you might travel and then you won't be able to be active in your server for a certain amount of time, and trying to build a server that can like self-sustain, but again, like a heavy emphasis on us like making sure parasocial behavior doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries.
That's a spectacular question.
Boundaries.
Yeah.
It's a great question. You need to be assertive and set your boundaries with what content you create. A lot of folks, I tell them that their content isn't particularly a game. Some of them are selling best friend experience. Yeah. And that's where lines get blurred. When it comes to managing those expectations, you need to set clear boundaries with people. If you do not want to be direct messaged, you need to let people know that this is not acceptable behavior. One of the very first things I did is I told everyone, now that I am out of the bar business, I spend time with my nephews and my family on Fridays. And I do not work on Friday, do not at me. And I will specifically, if it happens, we address it and go, this is not acceptable behavior inside of my Discord. Please do not do this. You're going to have to find out what works for you and how far you want to take that, but you need to be clear and assertive and communicate that in the best possible fashion to where everybody understands, depending on where they are at on the social spectrum of being able to process that information. Even though you may be a extrovert and understand the difference between tone and being passive aggressive, you cannot do that. You need to be very, very line item about it and make sure that everybody understands. Otherwise, you will drive yourself mad.
Yeah.
And I want to have a quick follow-up to answer your second part as far as like organic Discord growth when you can't be around. pick and curate your moderator team very carefully. Because like I had to throw one guy out because he got drunk at 3 o'clock in the morning and put at everyone and then threw out a spicy political take. I've had mods that hated each other, and I had to work to be the person that was in between that, going, you guys got to sort this out or I'll yeet both of you. Like, but those are the people that when you're gone are stoking the coals of conversation and weeding out the bots and, you know, kicking out the one guy who goes, this is probably a pretty controversial take, but
Yeah.
but that, like, the people that you choose to help sort of curate your community are an extension of you, whether you like it or not. And so you got to be real selective and choosy about who you let wear that mantle.
Yeah, exactly. And just to add on to that, like in the Forgotten Pets Discord server, we have people that come in and ask questions specifically, like almost plans about the episode and stuff like that to make sure that there is some conversation stoking. But at the same time, you do need to take time away. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. That's really important. So great question.
Hi, have another Discord-related question.
Neat.
So, let's say you're creating something that isn't like a YouTube video or something like that. It's more of a product, and you have a community on Discord that has like tens of thousands of people in it, but it's a total ghost town. Like nobody says anything because they're just there to like check updates. Any advice on like things that you could do to kind of make it a more active community?
What did they go there for the first place?
Just to see updates, progress, like how things are coming. So basically game development.
Yeah,
You're making a
sure.
game, people just want to see how it's doing, kind of a thing.
I typically, I'm going to take this
by
one.
all
Yeah.
means, dude.
Typically what I would say is have something that's kind of unrelated to the product but similar, because they're all there for a shared interest. It's not, obviously they're there for that product, for the game. But what are their interests in terms of genre? What are their favorite games, that kind of stuff? So having those kinds of discussions with the moderators, specifically of the Discord, will really help, because at the end of the day, those people aren't just, people come to a community because they share something in common. Whether that's love of D&D, whether that's love of Binding of Isaac, not its creator though, or whatever it is.
Fucking Ed McMillan,
but,
dude.
Yeah. But that is all to say that people have that shared interest. So talking about that shared interest or things analogous to that shared interest or side along with it is incredibly important. So that might be a way to stoke some of that conversation. It's not something that is common, if I'm being honest. So it's a unique problem. But I think that's a good way to do it. So
Also, like just the nuts and bolts of Discord, when you're talking about something at that size, you really need to go in and go, am I overstimulating the audience that is
Right.
here? How can I use Discord's tools in its best practices? You're constantly going back in and needing to look at other people's Discords, how they're managing.
Yeah.
Because now that everyone is in 1,000, how do I make sure that my message, when I do have one, is being seen by these individuals the right way, so that it's not getting lost.
as of 2 minutes ago, I have 1,103 unread messages on Discord from servers or direct DM. So yeah, you need to cut through the noise.
Good evening, gentlemen. Just want to say, love the panel. Thank you all for doing it.
Thank you.
My question mainly pertains to burnout. If you're doing something that you love, it feels like it's always around the corner. I've crashed a few times myself. I wonder if y'all had some general advice to deal with it.
In D&D, we have a practice where we say 4 hours of prep for 4 hours of playtime.
Yep.
There is a hidden fourth.
Yep.
You have to fill the well.
Yep.
Whatever your creative muse is, as a creative, you need to understand. Creative business doesn't just happen when you want to. We all know how we make our diamonds sometimes depends on pressure and all sorts of other motives.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that your well is full. So, whatever that is, whether that's watching, something on Netflix that's in your genre, whatever your hobbies are, that's a process that you'll have to figure out for yourself, and it's super important because otherwise you will eventually fray at both ends.
Yeah. I mean, Taffy,
I'm the worst person to talk to about that.
yeah, you are. I love you to death.
My financial planner would tell me you got to take a break, and I'd be like, I don't have time for burnout. It's not on the schedule.
Chat paid Taffy to take a day off, and
My
he
audience
did not
would pay
do
me
it.
to take breaks when they could see that the wheels were coming off the wagon.
One way that you can kind of face down burnout and help ameliorate burnout is to build that well rebuilding into your schedule. If somebody's telling you have to stream from 8:30 to 3:30 every single day, Monday through Friday, sorry, Taffy, that's very targeted, then find what you do to recharge after that. Don't start another business on the back end of it. That's just going to be exhausting. So,
This feels pointed.
yeah.
Also, you need to start leaning in to what is evergreen content. You need to be thinking about what can I make as a produced show that someone is going to watch later on.
Yeah.
And just sitting there playing the video game, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people that can go and get that now. So in the D&D world, I don't burn out.
No, yeah.
I don't. I run 24/7. I syndicate my content just like Seinfeld.
Yep.
You can turn on any channel and find an episode somewhere. I treat my content like that.
Yeah.
I am not an 8, 10, 12 hour a day streamer.
Yep.
And I set myself up for that success. So while I'm at a convention right now, I'm making more money sometimes than when I am live.
Yeah. Use your backlog for sure. So,
Hi, I was asking about legal advice for
good.
yeah, you would like that, wouldn't it? About how I'm coming from Twitch,
Yeah.
and they have like a what's it called, like a mature filter, right?
Yeah.
And I'm signed up for that to make sure that people of the younger
Moderations,
ages,
yeah.
don't come into the stream. But there's also the concern of like visibility, because it's obviously going to affect my visibility as well. Other platforms have these sort of moderations. Do you think it's a good idea to keep them on, or do your own moderations?
Yeah, the question is going over your moderation settings and whether or not having mature filter or using like an auto mod or something is going to reduce your visibility on Twitch or other platforms. And the answer is absolutely it will. However, you need to be aware of what kind of content are you filtering out. If your content is aimed towards adults and you turn off the mature filter and suddenly a bunch of 17-year-olds come in, that's not great. So those filters are there for a reason, and legally it's important. If you do turn them off, and this is not legal advice, this is information only. If you do turn them off, make sure your mod team is very aware of it. And that way they can be looking out for people that come in and say, I'm 15, what's sex? Or something like that. Yeah, it's a little late, but there's late bloomers. Or something like that. And just make sure that you do have a good, dedicated mod team. So if you do turn it off, which several of my clients have done, it's 6 of one, half dozen of another, then you're good there. So, yeah. Let's do a speed run round. You got this. I believe in you.
What would you say are the specifically biggest hurdles for new content creators to come over at this day and age?
One
now?
each.
Specifically on Twitch, you have to bring your audience in from somewhere else. There's no building it on platform.
Yeah.
It depends on what your piece of content creation is. D&D is wildly different than what you do. You need to find out where people are watching what you do. And that's going to absolutely determine the outcome of where you need to hack the attention for the eyeballs that you seek.
Building a relationship as opposed to a friendship of convenience is important too. So make sure that if you are going to build a relationship with someone, it's not to climb the ladder. It is to genuinely make content with them. So.
Also on Twitch, if you're not on the front page, you are not seen.
All right.
You're no longer being advertised.
Rapid fire. Keep going.
I know variety is supposedly a killer, but how do you ease variety into your content? Because I have too many facets.
Set
for just
expectations
FID.
with your community.
Thank you.
Do that piece of content after your main content.
Yeah.
When you have your largest audience.
Yep.
That.
Tried and true, old school method.
Yep.
Is there a way to, words are hard. Give me a second.
That's all right.
Is there a way to get into content creating without relying on video content?
Is there a way to get into content creation without relying on video content? Absolutely. Forgotten Pats is an audio-only podcast, and so, but you can also do writing. You can do creation on drafting, blog posts, anything like that as well. So just start doing it with whatever you feel comfortable and build from there.
Wherever you're comfortable.
Yeah.
All right, so for Discord, should I make joining the Discord a requirement for a tourney that I'm hosting?
Sorry, what was the second part of that question?
Should I make Discord a requirement for a tournament that I'm hosting?
Should joining Discord be a requirement for a tournament that you're hosting? I would say it's yes for participants, and tell them to feel free to invite their audience and stuff like that too. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And last question.
Hi. So this is a question specifically for the lawyer friend, but I was wondering how often you get like clients that are primarily visual artists, and do you find that the advice that you give them helps them out with their own content creation?
Absolutely. So the question is, how often do I get visual artists in? And absolutely, if you whatever you are creating, I do recommend having a lawyer, whether it's myself or somebody else, because at the end of the day, you're going to be creating copyrightable assets. You're going to be creating a brand for a trademark. You want to protect yourself. You're going to be generating income, hopefully, or something like that, even if you're doing it for the love of the game. And so you want to have an LLC to protect those assets. So absolutely, I work with a ton of visual artists and people across different mediums. Last thing, where can people find everybody? Taffy.
I'm gone, baby.
Well, shit.
What I'm working on right now is that my business partner and I bought back a music label that we sold in 2021 called 99 Lives. So I've spent the last year with him rebuilding the infrastructure of that, and I think we are going to take 2026 and relaunch the label. And so we've got a single from Drew Gulliver, who's like a 1.5 million subscriber TikTok creator called "I'm Just a Girl," coming out on February 6th. And we've got an album from a band in Seattle called Nova Arcade that's coming out in early April. And then I'm just trying to breathe that sucker back to life. And Noah and I are writing a book that I cannot talk about because there's an ironclad NDA in place.
Yeah.
I'm Captain Robear at everything. I'm live right now. Come support me with ad rev. Beyond all of this, I want to stress to all of you, while everything we've said here can be daunting, this is still the golden age of content creation and will do so. I just stress to you that even us up here are still studies of the game and the business itself. You will never stop learning.
Yep. And then finally, I'm Noah, aka my lawyer friend on all platforms except for Instagram, where it's my.lawyerfriend. But more importantly, all of you has a phone. All of you on that phone have a podcast app of some sort. Go download every episode of the Forgotten Pats podcast. I don't give a shit if you listen. I do care.
He really does.
But go download it because the metrics look great. You might enjoy it. It's a D&D podcast, and have fun. Everybody, thank you so much for coming.